Alright, I'm going to keep this fairly informal. The last couple weeks, Kat and I have not put up any videos, as I'm sure you've all noticed. It's been pretty rough, just to be upfront with you. First, it was just that Kat was on travel. She had to be a few places for business and family. And then, all of last week, I pretty much was tending to a rat as he slowly died. August was brought into our lives about a year ago, a little more than a year ago, and he was always a very good friend. And about a week ago, he started acting strange, was having trouble eating, and that progressed to vomiting, which rats aren't supposed to do. Ultimately, we found that he had tumors in his stomach, and by Saturday, we had to put him down, which was extremely difficult. A lot of you know that I'm a bit of a rat person, I guess, which is strange because for most of my life I had never really been much of a pet person, never really related to or bonded well with animals. And then a few years ago, Kat was fairly insistent that she wanted some sort of pet and decided on rats. Eventually, I found them to be incredibly helpful to my mental well-being, and that for whatever reason, the disposition of your typical Rattus novavegius or Rattus rattus, the two typical kinds of rats that are brought into people's homes as pets, work real well with my personality. And August had been with us for, as I said, a little over a year, and he was a bit of a tragic case. He'd been living out on the beach under the wharf. There had been a pet carrier that he'd chewed his way out of and was using it as a home, which in itself suggests he'd been abandoned. We don't know how long he was living there. Long enough for something to attack him, because when we got him, he'd been pretty scratched up and was missing a part of his tail. But he'd been living out there for a while until somebody who had noticed that the way he was behaving was of a domesticated rat. He was too comfortable with people. He did not act like a wild rat. Upon recognizing this, this gentleman brought August in, gave him a name, gave him a home. But the guy also had a dog, and that wasn't working out too well. The dog tried to use August as a chew toy. He realized he needed to give August up, so he then sent August to We Companions, which is kind of a shelter and service for specifically small animals like rats, gerbils, rabbits. And when we got him, he was not doing well. He was scraggly, skinny, his hair was patchy. Like I said, he was missing a part of his tail. I think one of the things that stuck out to me the most, and I'm sure that he picked this up while he was living on the wharf, but I was kind of showing him around the house, and at one point I lifted my hand to scratch my head, and he immediately ducked, expecting me to take a swing at him. That indicated to me just how rough he'd had it. But by the end of it, he knew he had a family. He knew he was home, and we got along really well for the time that he had. It was tragic to see him go. It's always the really unfair part for an animal that is so smart, and rats are incredibly smart, possibly even self-aware. There's been a lot of proof of cognitive ability. I've seen it in them. It's kind of cruel to think they only get between 2 to 5 years, and usually it's on the 2 to 3 end, to be honest with you. The ways that I've come to peace with it is to realize that they perceive time differently than we do. Apparently for a rat, 15 minutes feels like an hour. I guess there's some peace of mind in knowing that. And I guess from the rat's perspective, well, how often do you get to spend an entire lifetime with a friend? And so in that regard, for the time that we had August, I was with him every day. So he had me there for every day of his life after the point that we had adopted him. And for all the trouble he'd gone through during the first part of his life, at least Kat and I gave him more good days than bad. But it's always hard to see them go. And that's what's been going on.